All right, let's get into it. We're going to tackle one of the most powerful, most influential plays ever written, Sophocles' Oedipus the King. I mean, for almost 2,500 years, this story has basically been the blueprint for what we call tragedy. It's this intense psychological thriller that really gets into the weeds of fate and human nature. So let's figure out what makes it such an enduring masterpiece.
So it all kicks off with this absolutely horrifying prophecy from the oracle at Delphi. Just listen to this. The oracle says the boy would grow up to marry his mother and kill his father. I mean, can you imagine? It's a fate so awful that his parents, the king and queen of Thebes, do the unthinkable. They try to have their own baby son killed to stop it from happening. But, as this story is going to show us, you just can't outrun fate.
Okay, so Section 1, a terrifying prophecy. Our subtitle here is The Hero at the Height of Power. Because when we first meet Oedipus, he is not a victim. Not at all. He's the complete opposite. He's this triumphant hero, the king of Thebes, basically a rock star. He's the guy who showed up out of nowhere, solved the unsolvable riddle of the Sphinx, and saved the entire city. Everybody looks up to him. He's a brilliant leader, their protector. He is at the absolute peak of his game.
And that's right where the play kicks off, with this perfect heroic image starting to crack. See, Thebes is in big trouble. It's being hit by this awful plague. People are dying, and no one knows why. Oedipus, being the good king he is, sends for help from the oracle. And the message that comes back is, well, it's pretty clear. The plague won't stop until the murderer of the old king, Laius, is found and kicked out of the city for good.
And this quote, oh man, this is where the genius of the play really starts to shine. Oedipus, ever the hero, steps up. He vows he's going to find this killer no matter what it takes. He says, so helping the dead king, I help myself. He thinks he's just doing his duty, protecting the city, and in turn protecting himself from some random assassin. Little does he know. He has no idea just how right and how devastatingly wrong he is.
All right, next up, the detective is the killer. Think of this as the first great detective story ever written. Seriously, Sophocles sets this whole thing up like a modern crime thriller. You've got Oedipus as the lead detective on a cold case. He's brilliant, he's driven, he won't stop until he gets to the bottom of it. The huge, massive twist? The killer he's looking for is himself.
So how does Sophocles pull this off? Well, he uses this amazing literary tool called dramatic irony. It's pretty simple, actually. It's when the audience knows something really important that the characters on stage have no clue about. See, the original Greek audience, they already knew the myth. They walked into the theater knowing Oedipus was the killer. This creates this unbelievable tension because every single time Oedipus makes a promise or points a finger, we, the audience, hear a double meaning that's just dripping with horror.
And that brings us to the core contradiction of Oedipus himself. On one hand, you've got the brilliant detective. This is the guy who solved the riddle of the Sphinx. He's known for his incredible mind. But on the other hand, he's the clueless culprit. He is completely, totally in the dark that the very person he's hunting for is him. The man who can solve any riddle can't solve the most important one of all. Who am I? Next up, the great unraveling, how the truth comes to light. And this is key. The true genius here isn't what happens. Remember, the audience already knows the ending. The magic is in how Sophocles lets the truth come out. He doesn't just lay it all out in order. Nope. He feeds us clues, little bits of information, one piece at a time, like he's building this devastating puzzle right in front of our eyes.
And look at how he does it. The timeline is completely scrambled, which is just brilliant. The whole investigation starts because of the plague. Then, way later, his wife Jocasta just casually mentions a prophecy about her son, which plants a seed of doubt. Then Oedipus suddenly remembers killing some old guy at a crossroads years ago. Then a messenger shows up from another city with what he thinks is good news, that Oedipus was adopted. And then finally, the last piece falls into place with the testimony of an old herdsman. It's just a masterclass in suspense, using the past to slowly, painfully build the present.
Okay, Section 4, Seeing Through Blind Eyes. The subtitle is The Paradox of Sight and Knowledge. A huge part of this whole unraveling comes down to one character, the blind prophet Tiresias. And when he shows up, we get hit with one of the biggest themes of the play, the huge difference between actually seeing with your eyes and, truly seeing the truth.
So Tiresias comes in and he really doesn't want to say what he knows. And Oedipus, this man of action who trusts his own eyes above all else, just loses it. He gets so angry. He actually mocks Tiresias for being blind, saying he's blind in ears and mind and eyes. He calls him ignorant. It's just dripping with irony. The man who can physically see is insulting the one person who knows the truth. And Tiresias, he doesn't just take it. He claps back with this absolutely chilling response. He tells Oedipus, though you see well enough now, then you will be blind. He's basically telling him, enjoy your eyesight while you have it, because the moment you finally see the truth, you're going to be plunged into darkness. I mean, talk about terrifying foreshadowing.
So you have this perfect, powerful reversal, right? The man who can see, Oedipus, is totally blind to reality. And the man who is blind, Tiresias, sees the truth with perfect, agonizing clarity. What Sophocles is getting at is that real knowledge, real insight, has nothing to do with your eyeballs. It's all about what you're willing to understand. So what makes a perfect tragedy? Let's look at Aristotle's blueprint. The structure of this play is so incredibly flawless that about 100 years later, the philosopher Aristotle basically used it as his case study for what makes a great tragedy. He wrote a whole book about it. Oedipus the king didn't just follow the rules, it wrote the rules.
And according to Aristotle, these are the ingredients for that perfect tragedy. First, you need a noble hero. That's Oedipus, a good king who really wants to do the right thing. Second, that hero has to have a tragic flaw. But here's the kicker. Oedipus's flaw is actually his best quality. It's his unstoppable need to find the truth. That flaw leads to number 3, the peripeteia, which is just a fancy word for a reversal of fortune. That's when the messenger shows up with what he thinks is good news, but it actually starts the whole collapse. That leads to number 4, the anagnorisis, the moment of recognition. This is the big oh no moment when he goes from ignorance to knowledge. And all of that together leads to the final step, catharsis, where the audience gets to feel and then release all this built-up pity and fear. It's an emotional journey.
And that journey, that perfect, tragic recipe, is exactly why this story has gripped audiences for 2,500 years. It's not just a play. It's like a timeless machine, perfectly designed to make us confront some really tough stuff about being human. Which leaves us with this one final, haunting question to chew on. Think about it. If your best quality, the noblest thing about you, your drive for the truth, was the very thing that led to your complete and utter destruction, was your downfall just bad luck, a matter of fate? Or was it a matter of character? That's the question Oedipus leaves us with, and it's why we're still talking about it today.